Hello, everyone. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and I'm back with another movie review. And tonight we're doing a straight up erotic film, Erotica. And this movie came out in 1995, and the movie we're talking about here is Body Strokes. And yeah, you could tell. See, this is old school DVD. This is like when DVD first came out. How can you tell? Because you got the cardboard sleeve here, showing everything on there. And but then voila, you got the CD jewel case that houses the DVD in it, and there's the back. Yeah, they started doing DVDs like this when DVD first came out, but yeah, they got rid of this very quickly, and then for the longest time it was just Amaray cases or Snapper cases or things like that. But yeah, so like I said, I came across this in a record store and I picked it up for $1, and I honestly gotta say this was $1 well spent. This turned out to be a pretty good movie. Usually you pick up an erotic film, and there are a lot of movies that are categorized as erotica, but then you watch them, it's just softcore porn. And what I mean by that is there's nothing that really involves the audience. There's not a story to get involved into. There's not characterization. There's nothing in terms of plot or anything like that, or motivation or anything, where a lot of it is just it's a very very a lot of these movies are very very paper thin, just the barest minimum of a storyline or a plot of any kind of sort, and then it's just basically one sequential sex scene after another. Now, while this movie does have a number of sex scenes, and there is plenty of nudity in it to keep you totally interested, if that's really what you're looking forward to this to see, I think you're going to be actually honestly surprised to see that there is some decent writing in this film. There is some good characterization. The story is about Leo, and Leo is he's your kind of stereotypical tortured artist. He's known for doing these nude paintings, and he's been a painter for so many years. And his wife Karen, who originally she was his muse, she was always posing for him, but as time went on, she wanted to get more out of the relationship, and she wanted to prove herself more than just being a beautiful body and a beautiful face. As a matter of fact, that's Karen right there wearing the mask on the cover there. And honestly, the actress who plays Karen, she very much, in my opinion, she very much has like a very Courtney Cox kind of a look to her, in my opinion. Especially like when Courtney Cox was on Friends. She very much has a very Courtney Cox like appearance to her. But anyway, going back to Wednesday. So the thing is, though, is like now that Karen turns around and she starts handling his business affairs. She's kind of more like his agent now, and she's trying to get on the one hand she's kind of wheeling and dealing and trying to get him to paint at the same time, but he's not painting. He doesn't feel inspired or anything. And at one, they're having arguments, and she's talking about like they're getting ready. She scheduled like a dinner party for him to go out and meet people, and he doesn't want to go. And so she's like, fine, I'm going without you. Don't wait all this. And he's just like, whatever. And she basically, she comes home, and the biggest problem I would say that is kind of the most aggravating thing about this movie is that Karen and Leo, their problems are so simple that if the two of them could just sit there and talk it out, that there's nothing that they can't resolve. Their problems are not that dire. If they could just sit down and talk to each other and communicate and talk about what they're feeling and what they're thinking and stuff like that. If they could do that, their problems, this movie would not be how many minutes? What was it? Okay, 94 minutes. This movie would not have been 94 minutes. It might have been 4 minutes at the least, or at the most. But anyway, Karen decides that she tells Leo, I've been dealing with you for all these years. You're this tortured artist, and oh my God, you need to create, and so on and so on. I'm just really getting tired of your crap. And, I've heard it all before, and I'm done, and I'm sick of this, and I want more. And, so she's like, I'm going on a trip for a few days and everything, just to, get some space and clear my head. So she leaves, and Leo, he's upset about this. And so he decides that he's going to take out an ad and he's going to get two models to come in. Well, we meet Beth, who is this character right here. And Beth is, she's kind of like the good girl, kind of her character kind of starts off as kind of a goody two shoes, and she's very kind of prim and proper and very modest and kind of very kind of prudish in a roundabout way. And Beth, she comes home and she's got a boyfriend. Well, the boyfriend is in the bathtub naked with a woman and they're having sex. Well, Beth walks in on them and she's upset. He comes along and she's all like, why did you do this to me? Why are you cheating on me and this and that? And he explains to Beth, well, your problem is you're boring. It's like you don't have any fantasies, or you just you're very vanilla. There's just nothing to you, and stuff. He's like, I need somebody who's exciting. I need somebody who just really makes me aroused, and so you don't do that for me. And so Beth, she pretty much picks up and leaves, and now we're introduced to Claire. And Claire is a young woman. We realize she's a single woman. She's got a troubled life. She's really, her biggest goal is that she wants to figure out a way to get her daughter back. Well, she's having trouble finding work, and she's going to her apartment, and the landlord is telling her, you're late with your rent. She's like, don't do this to me. I gotta, how am I going to prove to a court that I can't, that I could take care of my daughter if I keep, if I get kicked out of my apartment and things like that. And so, of course, the landlord, being the scumbag that he is, and Claire being the gorgeous, beautiful woman that she is, he of course makes a proposition. Basically, if you do for me, I do for you, and everything. And Claire is like, "Oh my God, you're even more of a pig than I thought. What about your wife?" And he's like, "Don't worry about that. It's like, I won't tell if you won't." And of course, she's disgusted by him, and you know, and so she leaves, and basically Leo puts an ad in the paper saying that he needs a couple of models. Well, Beth and Claire, um, they both respond to this ad, and he explains to them that, I can't pay you in money, but what I can pay you in is room and board, and you'd be doing new posing, and Beth and Claire are both really in a position where they can't say no. But he's not, suggesting that they have sex or any of that kind of stuff. He's just saying, you pose for me, I paint you. That's it, pure and simple. And he holds up to his end of the bargain. At no point, that's one thing I gotta give Leo credit for as a character. He does not ever, try to put the make on these girls or anything like that. He sticks to his deal. They pose, he paints them, or he sketches them, paints them, and then they go about their day, and then they hang around. And at first, there's kind of this rough friendship going between Claire and Beth. Uh, if I remember correctly, I think at one point Claire even accuses Beth of crushing on Leo, but Leo makes it clear that he's not really interested in that. He's got a wife, and he's not really interested in that. And they start becoming friends. And as the movie progresses, like when Leo's painting them, he tells them, "Tell me about yourself." He's like, "I want you to tell me real details. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Tell me about you. Tell me about, like, what are some of the fantasies that you have? What are some of the, tell me things about you that nobody really knows." And then after a while, the girls do start to open up, and through the, it's a series of sex scenes, but they start relating their fantasies. Like at one point, Claire, she goes back home, or not Claire, but Beth. She goes back home to get her stuff, and her ex-boyfriend comes up, and he's being all smug and me. "Oh yeah, I know you. I know you couldn't live without me, and you'd be back." And she turns out, "My God, you were such a prick." And she stands up for herself, and she's all like, "Excuse me." She pushes him, and she's like, "Oh my God, just get the hell out of my way. I got a life to live." And at one point, like Claire, she becomes desperate enough that she thinks that um, she's got to sleep with her landlord to, keep her place so that she could get her child. And at one point, she goes, to the landlord, ready to take him up on his deal. And she's like, dude, let's just get this over with. I don't want to do this. Let's hurry this up. And so, of course, he's, oh, no, baby, we got all day, and all this kind of stuff. And she's all like, she's like, well, I don't have all day. So, get a move on. Let's get this over with. I got things to do. And so he's like, yo, you want to be a bitch? I'm going to treat you like a bitch and stuff like that. And so Claire stands up for herself and she's like, piss off, I'll figure out another way. Well, what ends up happening as well is that eventually Karen, she comes home. And of course, she finds two beautiful women at home with her husband and he's painting them nude. So, of course, Karen's not very happy about the situation. And she sees that, she sees Leo's painting them. And when she sees, the paintings, she realizes like his work is really good and that he's inspired again. And, you know, and like she sees that he's having these two girls kind of create the fantasies that he had with Karen, and the two of them, like I said, that's the most aggravating thing, is like this whole thing, these two could really just set aside their differences in like a minute if they just talk to each other. But there is so much of this movie where they don't, they just spend so much time kind of like they walk into a room, say something snarky to each other, or they just come in and I'm leaving you, screw you, goodbye, and they walk. They don't, eventually they finally do get to the point where they sit down and they talk. And Leo confesses to her that she is his muse. She's always been his muse. He loves her. He's pretty much obsessed with her. He doesn't want anybody but her. And he's explaining that yeah, I've been painting them, kind of reliving our fantasies. He's like, one, because I want to get your attention, but two, also he's like, your fantasy, the fantasies that I have of us is what keeps me going. It's what keeps me inspired. And she's, at one point she's ready to leave and she's like, you don't love me. You don't need me. You don't need me to handle your business affairs. You don't need me to pose or any of that. She's like, you're throwing me out. And he's like, of course I'm not. He's like, I don't want you to go. And, I love you and I want you to stay. And when they finally sit down and talk, then the two of them can, really get together. They get together. They put aside their differences. They realize that both of them genuinely love and care for each other, and that really Claire and Beth are no threat to their relationship, their marriage. And at the end of the movie, we find out that that Claire is going to move in with her mother. Her mother is going to help her set up a home so that she can try to get her daughter back. Beth, she's going to go back to art school. One of the fantasies we find out about Beth is that, she took an art class and she really had a crush on the teacher. And, because he was teaching her and molding her and things like that, she developed a serious crush on him. And when he tried to, she, she basically started and the two of them were about ready to have sex. But when he's getting ready to pull her underwear down, she runs off and then she's like, and can you believe, that's one thing I thought was kind of silly because, she, one minute she kind of gives him the impression that she's totally into it. But then the next she's like, can you believe because I ran off and got frigid and didn't want to have sex with him, that he turns around and gives me a D. It's like, you really didn't see that coming. But ultimately that, she decides she's going to be brave and, she's going to go back and go back to art school and try to, make something of herself and really get into it again. And then at the end of the movie, we got, uh, Karen and Leo. They've, put aside their differences. Everything was okay. They fixed their marriage, all this other kind of stuff. And not to mention, too, Leo is making a lot of money. As a matter of fact, Karen comes up, gives him an envelope with money in it. And, it turns out $50,000 because she sold one of his paintings. And, she told him, the thing is, your work is fantastic. It's really good. It's some of the best work you've done in years. And, when, the two of them, they have sex and they, he's all like, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I still love you so much. And he's all like, I want to paint you again. And so he's painting her. And so he's happy again and she's happy and everything's going well. And so he goes to, the two of them, they go to Claire and Beth and, they tell him, please have dinner with us just one more night. And, so they're sitting there at dinner and, they're talking about their plans. Beth's talking about she's going to go to art school and and Claire's talking about she wants to get her daughter back, and so they turn around, they give them money. They give them a profit from the painting being sold, and they get $10,000 each, and they're like, we can't accept this, and it's like, no, it's like this is you two going above and beyond, because not only were you guys posing for us, but you were also stuck in the middle of our problems, and we want to thank you for putting up with us, and things like that. And Leo's like, and that's the thing, you're going to go to art school, tuition is expensive. He looks at Claire, legal fees can be pretty pricey as well, so this will help you guys out, and so he's all like, you know what, let's just have one last hurrah before you two go. And so what he ends up doing is you basically see them in a pose similar to this, but the movie ends with Leo painting the three of them all together. Like I said, basically a similar pose like this, and that's where the movie ends. But honestly, though, like I said, for erotica, this is pretty good because like a lot of movies that are billed as erotica, like I said, there's no characterization, there's no plot, there's no development, and so it's like it's just one softcore sex scene after another. And if that's all you want, then you may as well just stick with porn. But there's a difference, at least in my opinion. There's a difference, when it comes to erotica. Erotica, you need to invest in the characters. It needs to be interesting. And some of the best erotica I find is when you have a story about people who, particularly women, but men too, people who they they express who they are. They express their desires. They express their wants and needs, and they don't internalize everything. They get it out, and either they meet the person that they want to be with, and the person who that they end up with accepts them as they are, or they don't, and they move on. And it's like I need to find somebody. It's like I can't not be me, and I need to find somebody who's willing to take me as I am. And that to me is like the best erotica, is when like when women reveal their fantasies, and and because like I've been in a relationship. I'm not trying to air all my dirty laundry on here, but I was in a relationship that she asked me my fantasies, and I told her what my fantasies were. And but one thing, it's like my fantasies were never going to happen. She wanted to make that abundantly clear. So I could tell her all the fantasies I ever wanted, but it was not going to happen. And she was never going to tell me hers. And, that's not really a way to be. That's not really a good relationship, because all you're doing is you're exploiting one person's feelings, and, you're not giving anything up. But her whole point was, in my opinion, her whole point was she was just doing that because then she could turn around and tell people what I said, and then she comes off sounding like a victim, and she was the better person for getting away from me. But doesn't matter. But anyway, though, in this movie, though, Claire and Beth, there are scenes where they, express their fantasies. Like Claire talks about she had fantasies about being with another woman, and she talked about that when she was younger, she fantasized about being a queen, and she had these two, gorgeous studs that satisfy her every need and desire. And like at one point, Beth, she's talking about, that she when she went to her ex boyfriend, and he was so smug and such a jerk. She fantasized about taking control of him, and giving him the most wildest night of passion he's ever had. And then, when it's all done, she turns around and is like, ha, I'm done with you. You treat me like this, I'm done with you. Be gone, And, basically, it's almost like that scenario of like like when a man and woman broke up and the woman feels like she's been done wrong. And so to get back at him, she's going to like get herself completely spruced up. She's going to do her hair. She's going to do her makeup. She's going to put on the sexiest outfit she owns. If she doesn't own a sexy outfit, boy, by God, she's going to run out and she's going to buy the sexiest outfit. And she's going to show up, and she's going to make this guy so sorry that that he ever let her go. So it's almost that kind of it's like that kind of revenge fantasy. And the girl that I was talking about a moment ago about my relationship, her ex relationship, that was kind of funny because I believe at one point she tried to pull that sort of thing on me, But first of all, it's all like, well, you come up to me and all you do is insult me. And then, it's like you don't come up with your hair done up, wearing makeup, wearing the sexiest outfit you own. You come up looking, you look like you haven't taken a bath and your hair looks like it hasn't seen shampoo in like 5 years. You're wearing like a man's baggy t-shirt and a pair of, big basketball shorts and flip flops and stuff. It's all like, so I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if that's really what her intent was, but if it was, she failed. Anyway, no, enough about my personal bullshit. Let's get back to the movie. But honestly, if you want real erotica, I mean, something with character development, something about, where you kind of like, where people talk about their feelings, talk about their desires, and they grow as human beings and they become braver and more bolder people for it, then if that's your kind of thing as far as erotica goes, then, Body Strokes is actually a good movie. You got some of the acting I admit is off and on. Sometimes the acting is really good, sometimes the actors really deliver a performance well. Other times it's just kind of like, wow, boy, was that underacting or overacting or just not acting at all, but honestly though, I say if you ever come across this and you're building your erotica film collection, I mean you want a movie library of genuine erotica films, Body Strokes is definitely a good one to have. Like I said, it's all about fantasies and desires and people growing, maturing, and relationships, being mended and things like that. Problems being solved because of, people, communicating, expressing who they are. So I highly recommend this. This is a good film. But if you're one of those kind of people, if you're immature, you probably better stay away from this. I mean, you need to approach this in a mature fashion. If you're one of those kind of people like, oh my God, she showed her boobs. Oh my God, yeah, this is filth. If you're that kind of person, stay away from this. But yeah, I mean, if you're a person mature enough, you can handle it. This is a good movie to watch. So, Body Strokes, I definitely say, yeah, if you're a fan of erotica and you're trying to build your erotica film library, if you come across this, pick it up. It's a good investment in my opinion. But anyway, that's going to do it. I think I went on long enough. If anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. Um, I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I do weekly videos. I do movie reviews, hauls, all kinds of other good stuff. And yeah, so hopefully you come back and I'll have something good and fun and entertaining for everybody. So until then, take care. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, wishing you all a good night, pleasant dreams.